D-Day happened for 80 years ago, this year 2024, and that is why a special edition of Clash D-Day will see the light on GameFound this year. I have this little copy here in my house, and of course I want to give you an overview of this game. Now, the game that I have here in my hands is just a demo version. It's a well-made demo version, so it will give you a good idea of how the final game will look. Now, in this video, I'm going to briefly go through the setup and what you can do in this game, and I really just want to give you an overview of what this game is about. D-Day, or Operation Overlord as it was called, took place in 1944. This was an attempt from the Allies to try to free Western Europe from the Nazi rule. And this is where you come into the game, because you are either the Nazis trying to keep the Allies out, or the Allies trying to take out the Nazis. We need to place the big board in the center of the table for both players to easy reach. Then we need to decide which side we would like to portray as, and take all of the tokens corresponding to that side. Next, each player draw an objective card at random. Now, these cards here will determine what type of objective you need to complete to be able to win the game. But we also need to flip this cool little coin here to see which side will be the starting side. Now, in this game there is 15 different objectives in this game, which means that depending on which objective you get, well, the game might be completely different from time to time and will actually add a lot of replayability to this game. Now, what type of objectives will there be? Well, let me do a little example here for you. This one, for example. Your objective is to conquer the middle beachhead with only 4 units and an additional beachhead of your choice, or conquer 3 random beachheads. So here we have 2 ways of winning this game. But if you take another card, the objective will of course be completely different. The game itself will also come in 5 different languages. We have English, we have Netherlands, we have France, we have German, and we have Spanish, which covers quite a lot of the different player types out there. Plus, the text here is not that much, and there's not that much text going on the board itself or the tiles. Well, really there's no text at all. So if you do not know these 5 languages, you could simply just translate this one sentence in Google Translate or whatever, and then play the game anyway. So what do I actually have here in front of me? Well, I have a board, but that's not what I mean. I mean, what does it represent? This here represents the beach, where we are either defending as the Germans or attacking as the Allies. Now, on this board we have 7 starting blocks. These 7 starting blocks are the ones that are a little bit raised. This is where you will place your troops once the game starts. But we also have 7 beach heads. These are the 7 beachheads that we will fight over once the game has started. So the game is played in turns, and during each player's turn they will have 4 action points available. Now, for example, placing out one of your units here on one of the starting points will cost you 1 action points. But you have 3 more actions that you can do during your turn. You can choose to take the rearmost unit on any beachhead and place it in the front. This here will cost you 2 action points. Or you could retreat any of your leading units in the front of a beach row and put it back in stock. This will cost you 2 action points. Every now and then your unit might be blocked, meaning that your unit is weaker than your opponent's unit. And you cannot place out a new stronger unit because the 2 tiles are touching. But then you could choose to retreat the leading blocked unit and place it back in your stock. This action will cost you 3 valuable action points. Sooner or later you are going to clash into your opponent out on the board, which is why the game is called Clash D-Day. It just makes sense, right? So when your unit touches your opponent's unit, you can attack them. And if you have the stronger unit, well then you win that attack. It's just that simple. And if you win, the unit that you clash into is removed from the board. This player takes that unit and places it in its supply. Now they can choose to use this unit when it's their turn again. And now you have a gap out on the board. And you can choose to fill up this gap with new units, meaning that you are moving and pushing forward in this battle. The details on who can defeat who is further explained in the unit section of the rules, and I will let you figure this out on your own. But for now we can say that a tank defeats infantry, and infantry defeats anti-tank, and anti-tank defeats tanks. It just makes sense. But when you clash into your opponent, you actually do not need to attack them. You can also choose to block them like I spoke about before. And if you have a weaker unit than your opponent, well then you cannot attack. Plus, attacking does not cost you any action points. And you can do this anytime during your turn. When a player reaches the end of a beachhead with any unit, they have conquered this beachhead, and the player may now draw one victory card from the victory card deck, but also place a victory marker on this beachhead to show that now we have conquered this beachhead. Depending on which victory card you drew, well, you will get different benefits that you can use in your game. For example, here you can add +1 action point in a random round. So here you get 1 action point, and once you have used this, well, it is discarded. But as you can see, there are quite a lot of these victory point cards, just as there were a lot of objective cards as well. So this will really randomize the game. And that's the way the game goes on. The players are placing out their units on their beachheads, trying to take over the different beachheads and try to fulfill their objectives. Now the player that managed to fulfill their objective first or take over 3 different beachheads wins the game. This game is really fast, strategic, fun. I mean, you need to keep a track on what units you want to place out, you need to keep a track on what units you have left, you need to keep a track on what your opponent is doing, plus you need to keep a track on that you're actually trying to reach your objective and doing whatever you can to reach them. And as you saw, the rules themselves are not that hard to learn. I mean, this is pretty much basically learning what type of units you have, how you can place them, and what type of actions you can do, and then the rest is just pure strategic fun. Trying to use these simple actions to actually maneuver your opponent and push them back to be able to get your troops on the other side, it's quite fun. I mean, the attack here is just having the stronger unit, and that's it. There's no die roll, there's no extra effects, I mean, unless you use something from the victory cards, of course, but besides that, it's pretty much just having the stronger units. And that is a lot harder than you would anticipate, because you really need to keep a track on which units you have used and which units you have in the front that are strong enough to make it all the way. There you have it, my friend. That was Clash D-Day, a special edition to remember those brave soldiers that went to the beaches on this horrible day 80 years ago. Now, this was just an overview. If you want to know more details about the gameplay, the units and everything, well, check out the links down here in the description and it will take you straight to it. And if you want to know more about the GameFound campaign, there will also be a link to that campaign. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a comment, give me a thumbs up, write something in the comments, I don't know, anything, what do you think about the game? Or subscribe to the channel. But most important, my friend, please remember to keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace out. Woo! A metal coin!